Welcome to the channel Data Science Demonstrated, and today I'm going to give you a very exciting demo on hierarchical clustering. The hierarchical clustering has got many advantages. It is very visual and it is also very easy to understand. And today I'm going to demonstrate this super technique using data related to Masters in Management Institutes. So here you see different business schools and you see the name of the school, you see the location, as well as you have some other information related to this management institute. And our objective is to cluster all these business schools into an hierarchy so that we'll be able to determine which schools are similar to each other. Now, we are going to take all the fields in this particular data, but we are going to avoid certain fields. So for example, we will skip the school name because school name is not an attribute of the school, and we will also skip the program name because data which is in the program name is not that clean. You can see things like Master in Management, star, and Master in Management, and ideally speaking you should clean this data, but for the moment we are going to skip this particular column. So now let me go into the hierarchical clustering process, and first of all, let us go ahead and select the columns which are required. So we can select all the columns, and as we have explained earlier, we are going to remove the school name as well as we are going to remove the program name. Now hierarchical clustering is going to organize all the schools in a tree format, and the node of the tree will represent a school. So even though if we have not selected the school name in the clustering process, we can select it to display the label of the node. So this will help us easily understand the visual and interpret the results of hierarchical clustering. So let us now make the hierarchical clustering, and here we can see the results of hierarchical clustering. You see a tree and you see different nodes, and if you expand the node, you will be able to see the name of the school. Now let us see this visual in a bigger and a better way by downloading the tree chart as an HTML. So here you see the complete tree chart, and let us start exploring some of the nodes. And let me start by clicking on all these nodes which are situated at the top. And you can see that this branch of the tree corresponds to the schools which are located in France, such as ESCP Business School, HEC Paris, ESSEC Business School, EM Leo Business School. All these schools are schools which are present in France. Let us also explore some of the other nodes. So for example, this particular branch, you will see that it corresponds to the schools which are located in India, such as Indian Institute of Management Lucknow or Indian Institute of Management Udaipur. One of the biggest advantage of hierarchical clustering is that you will be able to easily locate the schools which are similar. So for example, if you take the schools which are situated under the same node, so for example, the schools such as ESSEC Business School or EM Leo Business School, then these two schools are very similar to each other. And similarly, the NIMS Mumbai School of Business Management is very similar to the International Management Institute New Delhi. The Indian Institute of Management Lucknow is very similar to the Indian Institute of Management Udaipur. So this means that if you are trying to get an admission in one of the schools, but if you do not get it, you know that you can use hierarchical clustering to find the best possible alternative. Now, as a next step, we are going to convert this hierarchy into flat clusters. And for this, you will need something called as a threshold. So for example, if you have a threshold somewhere over here, you can convert this hierarchy into two flat clusters, the node 195 and node 191. But if you keep your threshold which is a bit low, such as over here, you can convert this hierarchy into 8 clusters which are represented by these 8 nodes over here. In short, if you keep a very high threshold, you get low number of clusters, but if you keep a low threshold, you will get high number of clusters. And let us see this in action. So I'll go to creating flat clusters, and let us start by keeping a threshold of 10. And here you can see that all the schools have been assigned a cluster which is represented by this particular column. And if you see this visual, you will see that the process has created 11 clusters, and you have 10 schools in cluster 1, you have 3 schools in cluster 2, and so on and so forth. And if you want to find out that what are the schools which are in cluster 1, you can sort this particular column, and here we can see that all these schools in fact are in cluster 1, and all these are the schools which are located in Europe. Now let us also experiment with a lower threshold such as 5, and let us see the results. And here you can see that we have lots and lots of clusters, but the number of records per cluster is less. So for example, here we have in cluster number 1 we have 5 records, in cluster number 2 we have 3 records, and so on and so forth. Let us also try with a very high threshold such as 20. So in this case we will get low number of clusters, and here we see that we just have 3 clusters, but the number of records in each cluster is very high. So you can experiment with threshold, and based on your requirement you can convert the hierarchical visual into flat clusters. So my friends, hopefully you have enjoyed this demo. If you want to try this out, you can do so on my platform experienceddatascience.com. On this platform you can go to the experience which is available under data science tab, and go to the experience hierarchical clustering and click on the demo app, and then you will be able to see the demo which I have shown you. You can either work with the test data which was related to the Masters in Management Institutes, or you can also work with your own data. So my friends, hopefully you liked the demo. If yes, please do subscribe to the channel, like and comment on the video, and see you soon in another exciting demo video.